Hello dear students. So welcome to ASU Learning Zone. So this is your teacher of social science K. Abubakar. My dear children, we have been discussing the first chapter from the history section, the advent of Europeans to India. So in our last session we discussed Third Carnatic War and the Battle of Plassey. So in Battle of Plassey we discussed that what happened after the death of Alivardi Khan, the Nawab of Bengal. Dear children, so this battle took place in 1757 and the area you can see on your screens an India map. So this is the Plassey. So now let's discuss. It means the Plassey. It is in now West Bengal state. So here you can see the Plassey. So in this place, the Battle of Plassey took place in 1757. So it is located in West Bengal. The Plassey is located in West Bengal, and Buxar. Another battle, another decisive battle of our Indian history is Battle of Buxar that took place in 1764. So presently, the Buxar is in Bihar. Got it. So last session, as I told you, we discussed about the Battle of Plassey, and we also discussed regarding the reasons for the Battle of Plassey, like misuse of dastaks and mending up the fort without permission of the Nawab. And another most important reason that we discussed that causes Battle of Plassey in 1757 was Black Room tragedy. Got it? And after that, we also discussed what are the effects of Battle of Plassey. Got it? And how Robert Clive attracted local merchants and the military head of Sirajuddaulah in order to defeat the Nawab of Bengal, Sirajuddaulah, and we also discussed about the outcomes or the effects of Battle of Plassey. Got it? So, what happened after the British defeated Sirajuddaulah? So, according to the deal made by Mir Jafar and British East India Company, Mir Jafar became the Nawab of Bengal. And later, my dear children, even Mir Jafar also became the victim of the company's continuous greedy nature. Why? Because the treasurer of the Bengal government went bankrupt due to the greedy nature of the British East India Company and its officials. Because the British East India Company was demanding for money. So that's why the entire treasure of the entire treasure of the Bengal went bankrupt. The entire wealth of the Bengal government got disappeared because Mir Jafar continuously provided financial benefits to the British East India Company and its officials. So that's why all the wealth of Bengal went bankrupt, went vanished due to the greedy nature of the British East India Company and its officials. And later, as Mir Jafar became unable to fulfill the demands of British East India Company, then the British East India Company projected and declared Mir Jafar as inefficient and incompetent Nawab. And finally, British East India Company dethroned Mir Jafar. It means British East India Company declared that Mir Jafar no longer continue as a Nawab of Bengal. Why? Because Mir Jafar failed to fulfill the demands of the British East India Company even after the bankruptcy of the treasure of Bengal. So that's why, so finally the British declared Mir Jafar as incompetent, as inefficient Nawab. So finally, British East India Company or the British, they removed Mir Jafar from the post of Nawab. And after removing Mir Jafar as from the post of Nawab, British made Mir Qasim as the new Nawab of Bengal. Then who was the Mir Qasim? Mir Qasim was the nephew of Mir Jafar. So let's see what are the incident takes place between Mir Qasim and British East India Company. So dear children, so this is another most important and decisive battle between the British and the Nawab of Bengal, Battle of Buxar. So where is Buxar? So dear children, at presently Buxar is located in Bihar state. So this Battle of Buxar took place in the year 1764. And as I told you, my dear children, after dethroning Mir Jafar, his nephew Mir Qasim was made as the new Nawab of Bengal. Mir Qasim was an efficient administrator. He was a good administrator and good leader. In the initial stages, he was also showing his loyalty to the British East India Company. It means when the British made him as the Nawab of Bengal. So in the initial stages of his administration, he was loyal to British East India Company. Got it? He was friendly to British East India Company. And Mir Qasim also paid 2 lakh pounds to the company, and not only Mir Qasim paid 2 lakh pounds to the British East India Company, but also surrendered or gave away few places to the British. But later, when Mir Qasim came to know about the cunningness of the British East India Company, Mir Qasim, within very short time, he declared himself as an independent king. So initially, he was acting according to the British East India Company. Got it? But later, what Mir Qasim did, he declared himself as an independent king. Why he declared himself as an independent king? Because he came to know about the cunning policies or the cunningness of the greedy nature of the British East India Company. So that's why within a very short time he declared himself as an independent king. And soon after declaring himself as an independent king, Mir Qasim also opposed the misuse of dastaks as previous Nawabs were done. The same way, Mir Qasim also he strongly opposed misuse of dastaks by the British officials. And when he came to know about the misuse of dastaks by the company officials, he declared that business is duty free in Bengal. It was considered as master stroke on the British East India Company. Why it is considered as a master stroke on the British East India Company? Because in the Bengal, the British had the right to do trade without paying any taxes, and Indian merchants, Indian businessmen had to pay taxes to Bengal government. That's why the British were gaining huge profits. But unfortunately, as I told you, the British officials they individually indulge in trade by misusing the dastaks, which were only limited to the British East India Company. So that's why Mir Qasim he declared that the business is duty free in Bengal. It means the trade became tax free. It means duty free for all the businessmen in Bengal, including Indians also. So when trade became duty free in Bengal, the Indian merchants they started competing with British merchants in all space of business. As Indian merchants started competing against British businessmen, the British East India Company started suffering losses. So earlier, the British businessmen were gaining huge profits. Why? Because they had a special license that is Dastak, which ensures duty-free business in Bengal. But what happened? Me Qasim declared that business is duty-free in Bengal. It means all the businessmen now can involve in trade activities without paying taxes to Bengal government. And as a result of this, the Indians they started competing against British in all space of business. And that's why British East India Company started suffering losses. Got it? And it became the important reason that British started opposing Mir Qasim. Why British started opposing Mir Qasim? Because in the initially, after dethroning the Mir Jafar, these are the same British who made Mir Qasim as a Nawab of Bengal. But now the British themselves started opposing the Nawab. Why? Because he had made the business duty free in Bengal. As a result of this, the British started suffering losses in trade. So this became the reason that the British started opposing the Nawab, and later this led to the Battle of Buxar. So that's why when British started opposing the Nawab because he had made the business duty free in Bengal, so later finally the British dethroned Mir Qasim and they brought Mir Jafar again to the post of Nawab. Earlier, British East India Company, the British had removed Mir Jafar from the post of Nawab, and after removing Mir Jafar from the post of Nawab, they had made Mir Qasim as the new Nawab of the Bengal. But now they again made Mir Jafar as the Nawab of Bengal after removing Mir Qasim. But Mir Qasim was very brave and he was very efficient Nawab. He had knew about the cunning policies and cunning nature of the British East India Company. That's why he starts his plan to organize a war against British East India Company. He started planning to defeat the British, and that's why he sought the support of Indian merchants and artisans. So all the Indian merchants and artisans, workers, farmers, all these people supported Mir Qasim against the British. Next, here Mir Qasim entered into agreements with the Mughal ruler Shah Alam II, it means Shah Alam II, Nawab of Awadh, Shujauddin. It means Mir Qasim organized combined army against the British East India Company. So the combined army had included Shah Alam II and Nawab of Awadh, Shujauddin. So Mir Qasim, Shah Alam II, and Shujauddin, they made agreements against the British to defeat them and to drive them out from Bengal. So this led to the Battle of Buxar. So finally, my dear children, the Battle of Buxar started in 1764. So as I told you, so this is the Buxar area. So now it is in Bihar. This area, as you can see on your screens, the cursor is moving. So this is the area where Battle of Buxar took place in 1764. So here, my dear children, Mir Qasim, Shah Alam II, and Shujauddin. So they made combined army against the British. Here, the combined forces of Mir Qasim faced the British army, which was led by Hector Munro at Buxar in 1764. The combined forces of Mir Qasim, and who was the commander of British Army? Hector Munro. Hector Munro was the commander of British Army. So these both powerful armies clashed at Buxar in 1764. So unfortunately, Mir Qasim got defeated by British Army. And Mir Qasim ran away from the battlefield. Shah Alam II surrendered. So unfortunately, dear children, the combined forces of Mir Qasim, Shujauddin, and Shah Alam II got defeated by the British. Then what are the outcomes of this battle? What are the consequences? What are the results of this battle of Buxar? Let's see. The first one, the children, Shah Alam II accorded the Diwani rights over Bengal to the British. Shah Alam, Mughal ruler Shah Alam, he granted the Diwani rights over Bengal to the British. Diwani right means a right to collect land tax. Point to be noted, what is Diwani right? Diwani right means collect to, sorry, right to collect land tax. So next outcome, Shah Alam II gave away all the rights over Bengal to the British for an annual fee of rupees 26 lakhs. So it means Shah Alam II, he surrendered all the rights. It means indirectly he sold Bengal to the British for annual fee of rupees 26 lakhs. All the rights. He gave away all the rights to the British over Bengal for just an annual fee of rupees 26 lakhs. Next one. The Nawab of Awadh, Shujaud Daul, had to give away a fine of rupees 50 lakh for waging a war against the company. It means the Nawab of Awadh, Shujaud Daul, he paid 50 lakh rupees as a war compensation to the British East India Company in the form of penalty, in the form of fine. The Nawab of Awadh gave 50 lakh rupees to the British East India Company. Next one, here after this war, after Battle of Buxar, Mir Jafar got died and the British East India Company paid pension to his son, and finally they took over the entire administration of Bengal. It means here after this battle they finally established their political rule, their political administration over the entire Bengal. It means from here, from the Battle of Plassey and from the Battle of Buxar, they started actually, in actual, they started ruling the Indian regions. So earlier the British had no any plans to rule the British regions. So they came to India for the trade purpose only in the initial stages. But after the Battle of Plassey and the Battle of Buxar, they changed their strategy. They not only established their control over the trade, but also they started establishing their political control over Indian regions. Got it? Next, the Buxar battle made the British as the real holders of power over Bihar, Bengal, and Odisha provinces. So, as I told you, the British established their political power over Bihar, Bengal, and Odisha provinces, and even Awadh. Awadh means it had includes the parts of Uttar Pradesh. So at present in UP state, Uttar Pradesh, Awadh. So even Awadh remained under their control. It means they established their control over even Awadh. So point to be noted, dear children, here in 1765, this is most important point that you need to keep remember. So in 1765, Robert Clive brought in dual governments concept or the dual government system. What is dual government system? So point to be noted, who implemented this concept? Robert Clive. In which year? In 1765. So in 1765, after the Battle of Buxar in 1764, so in 1765, Robert Clive implemented a concept, a political system that is called as a dual government. Then what is dual government? So, dual government means, as per this concept, as per this political system, the British had the right to collect land taxes, whereas the Nawab had power over administrative issues like justice and others. In simple words, according to the dual government system, according to the dual government concept, British had right to collect the land taxes, whereas the Nawab had administrative powers. So this is the concept of dual government. And dear children, so this is it. So in this way, the British gained political control over India to protect their business interest. And in this way, the British ruled our country for 2 centuries without any hurdles, without any problems. They defeated all the local powers. They defeated all the local kings and the Nawabs over the period of time, and finally they established, they extended their political control over entire India in order to protect their business interest. Thus, they ruled our country for up to 200 years. I hope you enjoyed today's session, dear children. So, if you have any doubts regarding this entire lesson, feel free to clarify your doubts with your teacher. Until then, keep smiling, be safe at your homes. We will meet in next session with new lesson. Thank you.